Hello, everyone. Those two investments represent about 15% of our assets, about 10% for Tesla, 5% for SpaceX on the. I've watched this with puzzlement, everything that's happening. But I think that one element that is going to be important for Elon is that he will be able to be understands where there's unusual spending is much greater than it should be, and how that can be corrected up pretty easy. Actually, you have a lot cost plus contracts. So that can be changed to the way contracts work for SpaceX, where they take the risk instead of the government. So cost plus contracts don't work very well for the person who's contracting. Okay, so if you have a cost plus contract, what that is that you agree to do this work for you, the subcontractors, the longer they take, and the more they cost, the better it is for you, because you're getting 12% off the top, is pure profit. Just as a prime contractor, you want things to cost more. So, for example, the government was sending out a program. They want to send people back and forth to the ISS, International Space Station. So they give two contracts, I guess about 10 years ago, one to Boeing for $4.3 billion, the year later to a SpaceX for $2.1 billion, and a SpaceX has since been back and forth 40 times. Boeing got there once, and they couldn't get their guys back, so we had to go rescue them. And that contract now has cost $18 billion. It's going to cost $98 billion or $88 billion, supposed to cost 11, and therefore they benefit by something taking longer and costing more. SpaceX, if something goes wrong on a Friday afternoon at 4:30, people don't go home till it's fixed. The other place is 4:30. Let's get out of here, and they don't care because it's the government's money, not theirs, and get rid of cost plus contracts. That's number one. Number two is that if you want to go back and forth, you want to go to Mars, and you get 1 million people up there, you got to launch regularly, in your sites regularly, like a lot of times every day. And if you have to go get permits every time you launch airplanes, don't have to get permits every time they launch, every time they take off. If you have to do that, that really slows you down. You can't do it. So basically, there has to be changing regulations. Also, so there have to be more real, reasonable regulations than are in place right now. And you have to have different, this cost plus contract stuff has to go. When it comes to Tesla's impressive growth, people who are bullish on Tesla and always looking for the next big thing in the stock market can't just stand there and do nothing. There is a lot of information about Tesla on this page. What should the price of Tesla stock be? What Tesla came up with, and everything Elon Musk. If you click on one of the ads in the description and then buy something, our channel may get a small payment. He might have agreed with some of what I said. His party used to be Democrats, but I'm not one of those days. It looks like teacher groups have taken over the Democratic Party. The EV summit at the White House has been talked about for a year or two now. Biden asked the most important people in electric cars to meet with him at that time. Elon Musk was asked at first, but later turned down. People said that Mary Barr was a star in converting people. I like Mary Barr a lot, but she had to make 300,000 electric cars and only 29 gas cars that quarter. People said she was a star in the move from gas to electric cars. The UAW said, I don't want Elon Musk in the White House. And many other people said, no, I can't have someone who isn't union. This is why the UAW has failed. People who are happy where they are can't be forced to join a group. This is why Tesla workers are very rich thanks to stock options and bonuses. SpaceX works the same way. Last year, 5.8 million people joined a group. 5.8 million people applied for. Got about 30,000 jobs at Tesla and SpaceX. 5.8 million people can find work in 30,000 jobs. Tesla has about 150,000 employees, but SpaceX only has about 15,000. They did, however, have 5.8 think at the best people. They expect the best. Workers to do a great job. They only do boring jobs, so how can you get them to join a union? They have a lot of rules that I don't agree with and don't know where they came from, like rules about who can join. If someone is really talented and works really hard, I think they should get the benefits of that. And Democrats want to say, okay, we'll lift you up. I'm fine with giving people chances, but I'm not okay with taking something from someone. This is an advisory role, so I don't think he's doing a lot of advising right now. I don't know how involved he is in choosing the people who are put in these roles, but he was supposed to come. We had a funny bit planned. I was telling you about this before I told him about this. He said, why don't we do 30 minutes about talking about the future instead? I said, okay, great. They called yesterday and said, he can't do it. He's in Mar-a-Lago, can't arrange it, can't leave, can't come in, can't get the people in SpaceX. Told me that it doesn't miss any meeting. I don't understand how he's able to do all this. So before we get deep into Tesla, I want to just make a comment about two comments about number one, how it's the safest car that's ever been built in the world, the safest car ever built in the world. And about a week ago, or 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, there was an Amana who took his wife and 2 children, 2 daughters, and drove it off a cliff 250 feet above the ground. And at 71 an hour, he was trying to commit suicide and murder at the same time. The car flies off the cliff and tumbles down to the bottom. And the roof on a Tesla is 30 or 40% stronger than any other roof. And the center of gravity is the middle of the car instead of the front of the car, and it rolls at the bottom of, and everyone's looking down. And then they lower people down, and then they open the doors, and people just sitting there, they were fine. That's so unheard. And so I told Elon he has to test the text about this and tell people that if they want to commit suicide, they should not be driving a Tesla. They should drive, a Bentley Drive. Bentley drive it up the CP. He'll die, don't do it in a Tesla. So number one, safest car I've built. And of course, he tweeted about that number to Toyota. So Michael Barron, my son, and I went to visit Toyota in Japan a couple months ago, and we're meeting with an executive, and we had a translator with us because we don't speak Japanese. That guy did speak English. And so we started asking questions, and initially it starts off, he's responding and answering my questions in English. And then all of a sudden he switches to Japanese, and it happens every time there's a tougher question. He starts off with English and then goes to Japanese. And I finally say, listen, I can't have a conversation with you and you have a translator, and I'm listening to this translator. I got to talk to you in English. And so it's nothing, and then we walk out. And this whole strategy behind Toyota was they are negative about electric cars. And what he wanted to do is say we want to have the lowest cost of mobility in the whole world. And so as a result of that, rich people, they can plug in their cars. If you're a lot of places, there's not electricity, so you can't plug it in. So we're not into that. That was what we took away. So we walk out. And I said, Michael, I don't understand any strategy that they have here. This reminds me sort of a Sony in the 1970s. They just stuck in their ways. But I don't know, we never heard the strategy. And he said, Dad,